saying, "Where is he who has been born King of the Jews? For we saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him." When Herod the king heard this, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And assembling all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them, "Where is the Christ that was born?" They told him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for so it is written by the prophet. And you, O Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For from you shall come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod summoned the wise men secretly and ascertained from them what time the star had happened. And he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, "Go and search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring me word, that I may come and worship him." After listening to the king, they went on their way. And behold, the star that they had seen when it rose went before them until it came to rest over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced exceedingly with great joy. And going into the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they fell down and worshipped him. Then, opening their treasures, they offered him gifts, gold and frankincense and myrrh. The word of the Lord.
Today also, our scripture is coming from Malachi 3, verse 10 to 12. Oh my God, this is really... "Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house. Test me in this, say the Lord Almighty, and see if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that you will not have room enough for it." Amen. Today, okay. When we watch the newspaper or when we saw the television, especially the infomercials, we know when we can sleep and we turn up the television and we saw a lot of commercials, we can see a huge amount of miracle products, no? To lose weight, to eliminate wrinkles, to fade scars, to make hair grow. And also we can find books that guarantee that if you follow a few steps, you can be more successful, find the love of your life, or even be the life of the party. Apparently today, and without much effort, paying just a few dollars and giving a click, you can improve your life. And we are talking about businesses that makes $1 million of profits, all because there is a lot of people who believe that it's really easy to objective can be achieved like this, just like this. Today, this last Sunday of Advent, and the last of our campaign of stewardship. Remember, if you remember, I hope you remember, the first Sunday of Advent we're talking about to take a time to be with God. You remember that? Take a time, and even that is why we bring to you the little booklets with the, I always forgot, with the reflections that even some of you write. The second Sunday of Advent, we're talking to be here. To came to the church and to celebrate the Lord of the name and to thinking about that the Lord is calling us to be in community and to worship Him. The third Sunday, last Sunday, we have this beautiful presentation of the children. They bring to us their gifts. Jean also give her abilities to working with children. Last Sunday, also the Eastern benefit is a big example about to bring our gift to serve the Lord. And today, we will be talking about another thing. We will focus on a story and a promise. Malachi is a text well known. Everybody know it. In my case, I remember that it was one of the first to memorize when I was a little child. Since every Sunday we repeat at the time deposit our offering in the church. If we read it by itself, if we just read the text we read it today, Malachi 3, 10, and 12, it sounds like a wonderful promise. But if we notice the whole text, the whole history that comes behind this text is not so much anymore a beautiful, one wonderful promise. Like the lot of miracle products or remedies or formulas that we can change our life, if we read this text in a really light way, we might think that this verse is like a miracle formula. That if we do something for God, God will do something for us. Quid pro quo, you know that word, that expression. You know what? But what happened here? The people of Israel to Dombarai were far from God. They were not obedient to the law. They were not doing the will of God. They had lost their fear of God, and even He no longer respect Him, God. The people of God were corrupted and even called, if you read this text before, Malachi called them, they are thieves, because they have not given to God what God asks. All practice and fulfillment were a heavy burden of them. It no longer made sense of transcendence, because in their heart they were not convinced of the need of the Lord. And since their hearts had cooled, and with their life and action they had turned away from His presence, God did not bless them. And as a consequence of that spiritual coldness, they came to accuse God for the situation they were in. And you should read Malachi. It's really short, just 3 chapters. In the midst of the display of the virtues of Israel comes an invitation. If you read Malachi, you can see there is a kind of dialogue where God tells to them through Malachi, to them, you're doing that, and I asking for this, and you're doing other thing. And then you came with me, say God, and you asked me, why are you suffering this way? I mean, is this dialogue, but also is that God is really upset. But also in Malachi we can see that the love of God never changed. Because he's very upset, but he is still giving to them an opportunity. Still, God is still giving to them an invitation. Bring a portion of what already belongs to him. Besides, and contrary to biblical logic, it seems to be the only occasion in which God challenged his people and tells to them, try me. It's the only part of the Bible that we can see this. If you bring me, I will bless them. Try me. Try me. If they do, their lives will be transformed, personally and societally. But if not, will be transformed their lives too, but not in the good way. Read chapter 4 of Malachi. Sorry, I don't know why it's not Micah, it's Malachi. It is not a miracles formula of success. It is a reminder that God will bless us if we repent and decide to return to him and do the right thing. And that, my brothers and sisters, is not achieved in 3 easy steps. So that is why it's not easy to do it. For other side, in the Gospel of Matthew, we read the visit of the adoration of the magicians. According to the Gospel, they are the first Gentiles, foreigners. Do you know what is Gentiles? Foreigners. To worship Jesus. That is why the observation of the visitor of the Christian church is very important. In the light of Malachi, this worship becomes especially important because a group of people who don't belong to the people of God do what Israel has forgotten to do. They were very sensitive to the divine signs, the star. They knew and they endorsed of the Messiah, the promises of the Messiah, because they understood that God's love is for everyone. Remember, the people of God, Israel, they saw, okay, we are the people of God, we are the chosen one, and the other one, they don't deserve to be part. They don't deserve to be blessed for God. But they understand, no. They understand this. The love of God is for everyone. And is also for us. They travel a long distance to Bethlehem, investing hours, days, maybe weeks to worship him. Before leaving their lands to Bethlehem, they choose the best gifts they will carry for several days to place at the feet of the revealed king. But in front of those gifts, they receive as a reward. They joy that God's grace produced to bring the best they possess, gold, incense, and myrrh. Beyond what means this gift, we don't talking today about that. Just remember, this kind of gift is just gift to usually was given to a king. It's not a regular gift. It's a very special gift. and they decided to give it to him. That's right, they bring offerings and put them at their feet as an act of worship, to adore him. They were not following a mandate, because they know what's Jews, remember. They know that it's not they should to do it. It's coming from their hearts. Nor were they expecting anything in return. This is important. And they probably didn't even know that they would get some kind of favor from God for doing this. They just do it. They only knew one thing. They had to show their respect, bring particularly special gifts, offerings. After that, we only know that they will return to their homes. We don't know if God opened the windows of heaven and filled them with blessings. We don't know that. We only know that they did what many had forgotten to do. Return just a little from the many things God had given them. By faith, certainly we believe that their lives were transformed, that they were blessed by God. Just as by faith we must be sure that our life can have the same faith as these unknown worshippers, unknown worshippers. Today, I bring this. Was my purpose to talking with children. They are our intellectual people. They are not people of the people. It's okay? Man of the people. They are not common people. They are people who are really has a formation and for sure resources. But we have, and they bring this very value gift to him, to Jesus. But in the Bible, we have another example. You remember that widow in the temple who just gave everything she had? You remember that story? The most little coin we have is this one, no? 1 cent. It's the most little one. And probably for sure in our time, with this we can buy nothing. You know, it's just more like decorations. And even if you find it in the street, people think it's good look, you know, to have it. But this is the smaller one. And we have the story of the widow in the Bible that she gave 2 coins in the same similar value of this. The smaller coin in that time, the lepta, is this one. 2 of this one. So you can pass in and show it that it's really small. It's actually the same size of this one. And she gave she gave as an offering just 2 of these. And this was everything she had. And Jesus asked, teach us about this history. These 2 coins are more valuable than the big coin the other guys gave. These 2 coins are more valuable because is everything she had. These presents are also really valuable because it's everything she had. The time, the faith, and the money when they bring this gift to the Lord. Before God, we cannot hide anything. He sees and He knows everything, and with His gaze searches all the darkest corners of our soul. God knows perfectly well whether we go to a religious service, a Bible study, or a meeting in a church for moral obligation, for sharpening our conscience, or avoiding any family pressure. God also knows our heart and perceives if we come to His presence only for personal interest, to implore His help, or if we are there for love, for the love we feel for Him. Paul reminded us, if or you should give that you have decided in your heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. The widow and the 3 wise men, they had the same purpose: to bring to God with joy, with no reluctantly or under compulsion, no obeying any law. Just they give to God what is coming from their hearts. When I was pastor in Mexico, one day the treasurer came to me and showed me a bill of 20 pesos. 20 pesos is like $1, depending on the day. It's like $1. And this bill, he told me, each week we have a bill, a 20 pesos bill, like this, that looks like a new bill. And he told me, this bill is given her by our sister Angela. Our sister Angela was a very, very poor lady. She survived selling candies in the door of his home. A very poor home. His home was just one room. And because she lives close to a school, she sells candies to the children. For sure, she just could be obtained to can eat that day. But she always saved this bill, and she washed the bill, and she ironed the bill, and she put the bill in an envelope, and she always gave it as an offering to God. This very clean and with no wrinkles bill, because she said, because God deserves the best. My brothers, let us bring our offering to God, or not reluctantly, or because we are obligated, or because we will obtain a favor from God. Let's do it because with the same purpose of the magicians of Angela of the widow, with the sole intention of worship him. And yes, of course, the windows of the heaven will be open, and we will receive blessings until overflowing. Amen. Let us prepare our gifts.